All right, so we're about to start making baked spaghetti. So what you do, you'll need about a pound and a half, maybe 2 pounds of the ground beef. And you'll need I use about 80-20%. So just because the fat tastes good. And then I have a whole yellow onion in there. In a perfect world, you could add mushrooms, and I would cook the mushrooms and onion at the same time and then add the ground beef. But it's that kind of night. I just threw everything in the pan. So you take that, you'll add a little bit of oil here. I use this oil. It doesn't really matter. It's coconut oil, but you can just add about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. Just make sure it doesn't burn to stick to the bottom of the pan. That's not what you want. And then you season it. So I use black pepper and then and then salt. And that's pretty much it for now. So, all right. So if you kind of look closely here, some of these pieces are a little bit more brown than others, and that's what we're looking for. So you see, you'll have some pink. That's kind of might be hard to see, but that's still a little pink. You don't want that at all. You want all of that gone. And then this piece right here, actually both of these pieces, might be a little. That's not a good piece to show because that's just messed up. But it should look kind of similar to that. It shouldn't. All of it shouldn't be like that. But if once you start seeing it on like more than half the pieces, that's when it's good to stop cooking it. So that browning gives you a lot of flavor. So just keep that in mind. I try to break up those bits too because you don't want a bunch of thick pieces of ground beef in there. Also, if you really want to spice this up, you can add Italian sausage, but not necessary. It would definitely be really good though. So, all right. So now when it gets kind of close to the end, not quite all the way brown, but you're starting to see like a lot of brown. That's when I like to add garlic. I feel like if you add it too early, it burns. I mean, I don't feel like that's what happens, but you add it too early and it burns. I feel like you add it kind of late, and it softens up just enough, but it retains all of that flavor. So just break it up a few more pieces, and you can be pretty liberal with garlic. They say there's no such thing as too much garlic. So now don't go crazy, but I don't even measure. I just kind of throw a bunch in there, especially for a big pot. Like that's probably like it might be like 3 tablespoons. So it's a lot. So it doesn't really can't hurt. It helps more than it hurts. So let that cook on top. After like 5 minutes, I kind of stir it in. And then I don't usually let it cook for more than another 5 or 6 minutes, but it doesn't have to be exactly that long. Just no more than like 10 or 15. Okay, so now we've got our beef pretty much browned. In a perfect world, it's not a bad idea to kind of sop up some of this excess grease. You don't have to, but it makes the dish a little bit healthier. Yeah, like how all this is kind of pooling in the middle here. But it's not the end of the world. So I might actually do that. But anyway, based on how much beef you used, you can use 1 to 1.5, maybe 2 of these guys, of the normal pasta sauce. And that's going to make the base. So let me clean this up and all. So make sure you're boiling your pasta while this is happening. You really don't need it to boil very long, especially if you're making it with angel hair. It really only needs to cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. So you can put that on whenever you think you need it, but it's not a bad idea. And when you do that, what you wanna do is, I'm boiling the water in my electric kettle over there, but you wanna add enough salt to the water to where it's kind of like, you kind of want the water as salty as the ocean. Now that doesn't mean like the Dead Sea, so you shouldn't be able to it should just be like a light coating, like I don't know, like maybe 3 tablespoons at most. And and then that will make the pasta taste a whole lot better. So, all right, that's in there. Definitely don't let it cook one half at a time, so try to force it down in there if you can. Obviously don't burn yourself, but you know, you can kind of just, I wouldn't use this spoon either, but I'm just lazy. So, and there we go. We'll stir it up, let that cook for about 10 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, there it is. So we're just gonna stir it up. I've already turned off the heat. We're just giving it a good stir here. Now the cool thing about this dish is you can kind of go crazy with the spices too. Like, I mean, you know, like I'll probably use at least a quarter bottle of like Italian seasoning or something like that. Because it doesn't really, you can't really do too much with it, I don't think. I wouldn't put a whole bottle in, but so you kind of want like this slurry, like that look to it. So now we'll add a ton of spices. Okay, so that pile is just basil leaves, and that pile is Italian seasoning. You can also use complete seasoning. That's got MSG in it, which makes stuff taste better. So if you want to use that, that's fine too. It's probably 2 or 3 teaspoons of each, or tablespoons of each. So, and then that little bit right there is brown sugar. Adding a little bit of sweetness can make it really taste pretty good. So I'm gonna stir that in. Okay, now we have our mix. Looks pretty good, looks pretty herby. And that, you only need to add like a teaspoon, maybe a tablespoon of that brown sugar. You don't need a ton of it. You don't want it to be like really sweet. So now I'm gonna put it in this pan. In a perfect world, you would lightly grease or, you know, lightly butter a pan about this size. It's about, I don't know dimensions here, but like this is my hand next to it, so however big that is. And then you want to heat your oven to 375 if you haven't already. And then you'll add a little bit of that, like a layer down on this. And then I'll show you the rest in just a second. So you can do this in one, like a giant, you know, mixing bowl. But I think that my pan is big enough, so I'm just gonna mix it all in here. So I usually add one stick of this Philadelphia cream cheese. If it come off, come on. Okay, there we go. Got that up. Now, you want to have like, this is probably a lot, but you want to add a decent amount of mozzarella cheese. If I can. This is so difficult to do with one hand. Like that's probably good. It's like maybe a cup or so, a little under a cup, and then about half a bag of Parmesan, or so. The idea is you want to use the other half for the topping, for like the cheese topping. So save as much for that as you want, but I usually do half and half. And then add a little bit of pasta water, like just a tiny, like, I mean, you know, maybe like a quarter cup. And that'll help it blend a little bit easier. It should look kind of like this. I'll let you know if the pasta water is that good. It might be a little too much, but you just mix it till it makes like a, you know, it should be all homogenized. So I'll do that real quick. Also, when you strain your noodles, don't let them sit for too long. Like you want to let it, at max, I'd say like 5 minutes, you know, because they start to harden and it's impossible to mix. So, all right, so it should look something like this, like, I don't know, like chipotle sauce, I guess. And then you'll just take your noodles and just dump it right in there and mix it up. And you want it to be as homogeneous as possible, like no stray bundles of like unsauced noodles. So, and it's about a halfway here. There's not, you see how there's still bundles of noodles like that. You don't want that. You just want it all kind of mixed in, kind of like that. So I'm gonna keep going. All right, that's what it should look like more or less. So then you're just gonna dump that right on top of this. That nice base there will be great. And then you'll cover it. I usually cover it to bake for like, I think 20 or 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes. And then you uncover it and then let it cook for like another 5 or 10. So, alrighty, there it is. You can see the layer of mac and cheese, and then I basically just topped it with so much cheese. You don't have to put this much cheese on it, but I love it, and you know, you guys would probably like it too. So you make it however much cheese you want to put on it. It's up to you. It's definitely just a garnish. And speaking of garnishes, you can put parsley on this too. I don't think parsley has much of a taste, but you know. And so what we're gonna do, we have the oven preheated here. Just throw it in for about 30 minutes covered with tin foil over the top, and then we'll uncover it about 30 minutes. So.